Welcome back to Ram Nation, everyone. This is Season 2, Episode 2, where we recognize, celebrate, and learn from the incredible members of our community. I'm your host, Eric Novak, along with Mr. Jake Torsiello. And each episode, we dive into conversations with people who bring unique perspectives, skills, and inspiration to our school and beyond. Today, we've got something extra special for you all.
Yeah, something a little bit different, right, Mr. Novak?
That is absolutely right. For the very first time on Ram Nation, we're welcoming two of our amazing teachers. Of course, we have tons of amazing teachers here at RHS, but two we're going to spotlight today. We're joined by Mr. Steve Coleman.
Hello, hello.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. And of course, Mr. Andrew Palmer.
Howdy.
Oh, they got a little bit more claps there. No, I'm just kidding. They're here to share their journey and what brings them joy, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. Their passion. Steve and Andrew, Mr. Coleman, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here and dig into the ways you both have found fulfillment in your careers and lives. So I'd love to just get started by quickly giving you a shout out, Mr. Palmer.
Oh, thanks.
Mr. Palmer, you are someone who has clear passion for teaching, but especially science. It radiates in everything that you do. From the moment you step into the classroom, you can feel your enthusiasm, as I've heard many students say. It's clear that science isn't just a subject that you teach. It's something that you genuinely love, and bring that to life for your students. And I always hear only nothing but positive things pretty much from all your students, and I kind of sometimes feel like, man, I just wish I was in that guy's class. So thank you so much for just staying at RHS for I don't know how long now. But
9 years. This is my 9th.
That is amazing. So thank you for that, and I'm just grateful that you continue to be in the building. And
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Mr. Torsiello.
And so for Mr. Coleman, before we got on the show, I had asked a couple of students just a quick straw poll. You know, you think of Mr. Coleman, what's the first thing that you think of?
Let me see their names first.
Routinely, the words that were coming out of the mouth: enthusiasm, somebody who believes in what they do, conviction, energy, passion. And, I couldn't, from my interactions with you and seeing you walk around the building, I couldn't agree more. You clearly are somebody who believes in what he does and believes that his work is making a difference in kids' lives. And I think that, seeing students coming in and out of your room, athletes coming in and out of your teams, and the relationships that they forged with you and how they speak about your classroom and the confidence you've instilled in them, your work speaks for itself. So, you truly are a role model here in Randolph, and we are so excited to have you on the podcast.
And something you both do really well, and that's a testament to both your characters, is that you're both just real, right? I just feel like no kid can question your guys' genuine spirit in the classroom. Like no one's being like, oh man, Mr. Palmer, he's fake when he says this, but that never gets said. You guys are just real, and I think that just goes a long way in the classroom. So Thank you for that.
Authentic to the core.
Thanks for the
Authentic
words.
to the core. I love it.
Yeah.
So this episode is called The Pursuit of Passion. And so we're going to be asking you questions. We're just going to start off right away, and you guys can both, doesn't matter who goes first here. So the first question is, how did you discover that science and or graphic design was the right path for you, or teaching in general?
That one's easy for me.
Go ahead. Phillies go first. It's fine.
My journey started when I was 6. My dad was my kindergarten science teacher. So following his footsteps was, I guess, natural to me. I paid attention to what he did. I took notes through elementary school and middle school and high school of, okay, I like this teacher style. What's that mean for me? I don't like this.
So from a very young age, you knew you wanted.
Hands down, I wanted to be a teacher. And then figuring out what best fit happened to be science, just based on my personal interest and, having astronomy as a central core part of what I do led to science. And then I'll talk more about why physics, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up. What was it exactly? Was there something that occurred, or if you feel like this is kind of random, but if you were born in, let's just say, Texas, do you feel like if your environment was any different, that you would still be all about science? What is it, do you think?
Yeah, Texas has NASA stuff. I think I'd still. I'm closer to NASA. Yeah.
Maybe not a great example, but go on.
in Minnesota.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania, just about an hour west of Philly, similar to we're an hour west of New York. And I went into the Ben Franklin Institute a good bit. So having that close by, I think hopefully our student population goes in to see some museums in New York. But I really do attest it to the personal connection of my father and having that scientific presence always nearby.
That's an amazing story. That's really cool.
That is cool.
Mr. Coleman?
That's wild. All right, totally different. Crooked path. I have a crooked path. In school, I went to Catholic school when I was a little kid, and I always drew in all my classes. So art from a young age was definitely something I loved. Growing up and going to high school, I'm like, yeah, I still love this. This is awesome. It's an automatic A for me. Gym, art, automatic A. So I took them all the time. And I'm like, I'd love to do this art thing, but I probably wanted to be a cartoonist mostly. And I still probably, when I grow up, I might be a cartoonist. And I'm like, well, I came from a really blue collar community. Every person was, one person worked and somebody was home. Mm-hmm. And usually people were third shifters or second shifters. So nobody came to games after school. That's kind of how I grew up. So there was no artists in that group. Getting a role model or figuring out how to do it was like, I have no idea. But I just said, I'm going to just study art and trust in myself and just figure it out. So when I was in college, I'm like, this is going to work. I like this. And I was probably going to be a designer. But then I'm like, you know what? I was working with a bunch of youth groups at the time from when I was a teenager. I just kept going through it. And I'm like, definitely teaching can work. Because I loved hanging out with teenagers. I loved it. It worked for me. I'm like, I put the two together. And I combined it. I mashed it up.
That is awesome. That's amazing.
It is interesting.
It is.
It's weird. It's weird how we kind of find that path to becoming a teacher, whether it be, somebody who we hold very dear and that person is our, our role model or our hero and we follow in their footsteps, or, we want to emulate or better what they do, or it's, trying to find all these different pieces of, I really like this, but I also really like this. And is there a way I can combine them together to make something new for myself? And, it's interesting that both of you are described in similar ways of being incredibly passionate, very strong teachers, but, a very different path as to how you ended up in that same spot. So my big question for the two of you is, your passion radiates throughout everything that you do. And one conversation with the two of you about anything, right? It doesn't even have to be about physics. Students at Randolph High School, if you want to talk to just a very interesting person in general about sports, culture, if you want to speak in a different language, go talk to Mr. Palmer, because Mr. Palmer can do that.
Oh, muito obrigado. Muito obrigado.
That was Portuguese for those of you who don't know, but it's very evident that you have a passion for people, you have a passion to help people. When the two of you teach, how do you want that passion to be perceived by your students? Do you want your passion for art, or your passion for science to be contagious, and you want them to share in that same love of your subject? Or do you kind of feel like it's more of like a role model where I want to exemplify what it means to be enthusiastic, and I want you to find what makes you enthusiastic?
You want to try that one?
Sure. I think physics is an interesting mode of connecting to students. As you said, I'm well-rounded. I've got a lot of different interests and passions, and I feel I could teach the same life lessons through a variety of different means. So while teaching is somewhat performative, I don't want it to be me on a stage and y'all watch what I'm doing and take notes and make it a performance. Certainly lecture style classes can become that, but I also want to put it back into their hands. And I think physics provides the derivations and lab investigations and activities that they're doing something. That certainly applies in design and the arts, but in science and math, it's so much of, well, I take notes, I do the problems, and I get better. But physics, I really like an introductory physics course where they can discover the content and discover themselves and their strengths and their thinking patterns. And that's kind of what I remember as a student, as a teacher. Yes, I can tell them the tricks. I can give them a model, follow along my instructions. But that struggle to figure it out yourself, I think, is what I really love about my class. It's not easy. It's not a silver spoon where students, enjoy Mr. Palmer. You're going to work. You're going to struggle. You're going to have a tough time. And I'm here to help you and guide you.
Yeah.
I think many students have expressed to me that was tough, but appreciated.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I totally got lost. I don't even know what the question was.
So
It was that good of an answer.
That was, yeah.
No, it really was.
100%.
And the biggest thing there for me, anyway, what I heard you say is, there's joy in the struggle, right? Like, it's you can appreciate things so much better when you get through something that's hard, right? Like if it's something that's easy and you get through it, it's like, it's cool, obviously, but when it's a challenge, there's something about that, and so I think it's cool that it's like you're very intentional about that. It sounds like in your classroom and making something so there is a struggle. So I think that's a great answer, and I think that's amazing. You want to rephrase for Mr. Coleman?
yeah. So how do you?
Great. Thank you.
How do you want students to kind of perceive your passion in your room? So is it more along? Do you want to share your passion for your subject field, or do you want to kind of have your passion be an example for them to find their own?
Right. So it's a little bit of both, I guess. So I'm a maker. I'm constantly and always making something. At home, wherever I am, I'm doing something. It's musically, it's visually, it's, building. And in the classroom, I want kids to be able to do that and understand the whole process of, maybe when they were younger, they might have had a class where a teacher said, no, you can't start over like that. And they have to just go to the end, even though they didn't like it. And that's not real. No maker does that. They're like, that's not the one piece of paper I ever get.
Yeah.
I want them to understand the process is actually real. And sometimes it stinks and you got to struggle. And there is a moment where you got to go, okay, well, maybe I throw this one out and I start over. Yes, I'm trying to get them to enjoy or understand there is a real process, and I go through it all the time. I make duds all the time. But the end goal for my class would be, I try to tell everybody, I don't care what you come from, if you're taking the class for graduation credit or you are an artist or you think creatively, I want you to be able to make stuff and not fear the grade. Just be totally free to make. Forget the grade. Just come in and work, and we can make freely. So maybe you can get something. Maybe it's one thing that you can put up in the hallway and be proud of it and be like, yeah, I made that. It's totally mine. And it wasn't a cookie cutter. It didn't come from anything else. So that process is a little difficult because sometimes the grade is the motivator in school. But I try to throw that out the door immediately and just say, forget it. We're not doing that. We're going to make, and making is not easy, and it comes with its own struggles. So that's where I want the classes to be.
I felt that. That was really cool. And I'm trying to think of a point in my schooling career where I even came anything close to that. And I think it goes back to my favorite teacher I ever had, who was my AP European history teacher in my senior year of high school, and had told me to just I remember saying that I was really struggling in this one writing piece, and I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get the analysis right, and she was just like, just do the history. She's like, forget about the grade, forget about the process, just do it. And sorry Nike that I just stole your catchphrase there, but that was the first time in my entire schooling career where I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to do something that I like, and I'm going to forget about everything else. And I kind of forgot about all the grades and the peripheral stuff and the assignment that was due, and I just did it. And that's what it kind of sounds like in yours, and with yours as well. It's like, here's this lab. I need you to go and figure something. I'm giving you a really hard problem, and now you need to figure it out. And that's life. At the end of the day, yeah, there's going to be a grade, but you know what? If you went through the process and you embraced the struggle and you worked hard through it, the grade's secondary.
Oh, completely.
That's a really cool thing. That's a really cool thing.
And it's a hard thing, you know, to ignore, not to ignore the grade, because obviously you need to have a balance, I think, you know, of doing those things that you just said. And so, but thank you two both so much for those answers. I thought they were both really good, and I think I can go back at this and reflect on it again, because I think you two both just said amazing answers. Final question, unless you wanted to do something else at the end there.
Go ahead.
But at this point, is there any, because you hear this word passion a lot, right? And the episode of this is called The Pursuit of Passion. You hear that thrown around a lot. Like, oh man, what's your passion? Why don't you do this? You love this. Or what's your passion with this? It's not so easy to find that. And you two found it different ways, of course. What would be any advice that you would give to anyone that's listening, regardless if it's a high school student, adult, someone that's older? What advice would you give in regards to having someone find their passion, or finding someone that really makes them feel fulfilled?
Totally. Go on.
Should I go first again?
Definitely. Definitely.
Try something new. Hands down. If you're stuck in the same rut and you like it, cool. But if you don't like it, you know, you're stuck in a rut, and you're not going to find that new thing that sparks your interest and opens a whole new world. Whether it's traveling and seeing a different part of this wonderful planet we live on and the people that populate it, whether it's seeing landforms and just maybe watching a YouTube video that's outside your algorithm and like, oh, I never thought about that.
How do you get outside the algorithm?
Yeah. Yeah, go into incognito mode. I think, trying something new, putting yourself out there, going outside your comfort zone, that's where you're going to have that growth and be able to see yourself in a new way that opens doors. And yeah, I think teaching 9 years here, 13 total, every year something new. I really don't want to do the same thing twice.
I love that. You should do a relaxation and meditation podcast. I'd listen to that.
Dude, I have the voice for it?
It's very nice.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
I want you to
appreciate
envision the
that.
door
Let's take a
opening
look
up.
at-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you open that door, there's something new.
Something new
You
inside
guys
of
didn't
you.
know you're doing ASMR.
That's right.
So advice. Well, I always think back to like a sports thing from when I was little. Like everybody I grew up with was a crazy, passionate fan for someone, some team. And I always believe that you should have things you love, whether it's like you have a band or a team or any kind of interest that's not like your day job or something. And I think the thing you love, you can pour into. I got a lot of things I love, so I'm constantly, like, I'm a very distracted person. So if you love something, I don't know, it's easy to just pour into it, you know? Like, I'd love to read, but I just can't sit down for more than 15 minutes. So I have other things that totally capture my imagination. And if you're trying something new, oh my gosh, you can, there's endless things I could try. But I do appreciate that. You got to love something. Even if you don't have a favorite team. I think you got to pick one.
Yeah.
I have a favorite team. What's your favorite team there, Mr. Palmer?
Go Birds.
Birds. I've divorced myself from the Jets, just so you know.
Oh, dude, hey,
We had an official divorce.
the green matches pretty well over here in Philly.
No. Oh, my gosh.
And I agree. I think that finding something that you're super passionate about lets you just go.
Yeah, let you live.
Yeah.
100%. Not stuck. Like, I don't feel like I go to work a lot. You know, like, I've worked a million jobs, like summer jobs and things like that. And
Right.
I did construction in my 20s a lot with my friends who were contractors. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like, but I felt like I was working.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So-
this doesn't feel like that a lot to me. It's like,
That's a beautiful thing to say,
It is.
you know, and that's a really amazing thing to feel when you're walking into a building. It's like, this isn't my work. This is my thing. This is like you said, like your loves.
I make
You-
stuff.
You make stuff.
Right. You get to do it all day.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You get to make stuff and you get to help other people make the stuff that they want to make. And that's a beautiful thing.
So we're going to end with one last, just for fun, activity. Won't take long. Mr. Torsiello, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so we're going to do something called rapid fire favorites.
Holy moly.
So rapid fire favorites, here's how it's going to go. I'm going to ask each of you a series of very quick, fun questions, and you have to answer them with the first thing that comes to mind.
Quickly.
We're keeping them quick. Yes, appropriately.
Yes.
Where's the dump button?
Appropriately. All right. Are we ready?
Are they going to answer at the same time?
I guess
They
there's
should,
water.
right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
We can answer them at the same time. That works.
You can make
That
it
works.
almost like a competition. You want to answer first as well.
Oh,
There's one that's designated
Three for three on that so
each
far.
of you. So when I get to that one, I'm
keeping
going
score.
to direct it to the person that question is directed to, and
Right.
then we'll move forward from there. Are you ready?
This could be challenging.
Here
So
we
our
go.
first one: favorite topic to teach.
Wait, favorite topic?
Favorite topic to teach.
Oh, design.
1-0
Pilot
Coleman.
Forces. Yeah.
1-0 Coleman. It's 1-0.
Did you say
I'm like,
special
physics?
forces?
Special forces. That's my new. That's my next topic in physics.
Favorite book from when you were a child.
Animorphs.
1-1.
Nice one.
Oh, that's good. It's got to be Robert Waller. He wrote Bridges of Madison County, but he wrote another one that I can't remember the title for.
One word you would use to describe your teaching style.
Engaging.
That's really hard.
I'm ready
Create.
Lowe's recommendation. I got this left and right. Yeah, creative.
You're pretty good. You didn't ask for intellect on the show, did you? We're
Next question.
unpredictable. How about
So this
unpredictable?
one is just directed to the two to each one individually. This is just a fun question in general. So Mr. Palmer, favorite science experiment.
I really like the projectile launch into a target.
Got it.
I've seen you do that. That is fun.
It's fun.
Mr. Coleman,
That's cool.
favorite design tool.
Oh, pen tool. Easy.
That's a great
The
answer.
OJ.
That's a great answer.
Universal.
Okay. Ready.
That's a digital thing.
Next one. So answering at the same time. Coffee or tea in the morning?
Coffee.
That was good.
Espresso.
And then one thing you're oddly good at.
Podcast besides that.
That's a very
Besides
lazy
podcast.
question. Well, I've been singing for years. It's kind of like what I do when I'm not here. So
That's
I've been
true.
Singing for years.
Really?
There we go. We both answered singing.
Very nice.
Very
Very
interesting.
nice.
I knew you did, Mr. Coleman. I
don't
didn't know
know.
that about you, Mr. Palmer.
I keep it well shuttered.
Apparently so. 9 years. How many teachers know?
No, I sang on the second day of class this year.
Did you really?
What?
Good for you. Good
That's
for you.
so cool.
that's actually good.
Yeah, shout out to all the singing teachers out there.
Yeah, who would have thought?
For real.
Yeah, especially the ones that keep it a secret.
But thank you so much for coming on, guys. This
Thanks
was a great
for
pod.
inviting us. This is really fun.
Yeah, no, this
Yeah.
is awesome. So thank you two so much again.
I thought there was going to be food, but you know,
I was ready for
maybe next
long
time.
form. I was ready for a 3-hour podcast.
yeah, just easy.
Everyone that listens to this, thank you again for tuning in to the Ram Nation. Looking forward to season 2, episode 3. Thank you guys again.
See you in class.
All right, peace.